Officials are calling this an urgent opportunity to modernize Seattle Center, saying you can already see some of the wear and tear around the campus, including these empty pools here at the Pacific Science Center. They were shut down because of plumbing issues. Some of the infrastructure dates back to the 1962 World's Fair, and the last voter-approved levy for the campus was way back in 1991. In addition to the pools, the proposal would help pay for projects like armory renovations, upgrades to the Veterans Memorial, and other improvements around the campus. City leaders say they want to start addressing these issues now before the potential return of the Supersonics to Climate Pledge Arena in the next few years. One neighbor we spoke with says she supports the idea.
If they have to do any improvements just to maintain the integrity of what it is would be awesome. I'm all for it. It seems kind of like spending money to make money, which I'm not against.
There's no estimated price tag yet, but leaders are looking at a possible bond measure that could go before voters by the end of 2027. The Transportation, Waterfront, and Seattle Center Committee could take its first vote on the plan as soon as today. That meeting is expected to get underway at 9:30 at City Hall, and if that's approved, the full council is expected to take it on as early as next month. Reporting in Seattle, Savannah Welch, King 5 News.
Linwood police have made an arrest in a major mail theft operation that hit several cities across Snohomish County. We'll take a look at this video. Detectives say this man used counterfeit postal keys and then dressed as a USPS employee to access cluster mailboxes in Stanwood, Marysville, and Arlington. He's accused of then using stolen identities from his victims to rent U-Hauls, access bank accounts, and commit additional crimes. The 37-year-old suspect is facing numerous potential felony charges, including identity theft, forgery, and burglary. He's due in court later on this afternoon.
Washington State Ferry says the Memorial Day weekend travel rush starts today with 350,000 people expected through Monday. Also happening this weekend, State Ferries is making its pet policy permanent. You may notice some new signs going up over the next several weeks. Over the past 6 months, a pilot program has been in effect, allowing pets on board ferries. Beginning July 1st, pets will be permanently allowed on vessel decks, in outdoor passenger areas, and in marked areas inside cabins. Pets are not allowed in the galley or on passenger seats and tables.
We look forward to seeing you again soon. Well, a 19-year-old driver is facing multiple charges after leading police on a chase and crashing into two other cars. Tacoma officers spotted a stolen Hyundai Elantra driving erratically yesterday afternoon. Tried to pull the driver over, but the car sped through multiple red lights before getting stuck between two cars in downtown Tacoma. The suspect was arrested. Nobody hurt.
The public perception is obviously a tremendous factor in this. We talk about the karma bank all the time. Quite frankly, this was a tremendous shock to everyone within the department. We do a lot within our community. We are constantly talking about putting ourselves out there in the community to earn that community's trust and gain that community trust. And something like this, quite frankly, is a huge setback for all of the officers here at the department that come to work every day. And it's all about that image and that trust. And it really breaks my heart that for the people that are out here doing such a good job, that if these allegations are to be sustained, it is really a black eye for all the men and women that are here doing a good job.
Hi, everybody. So a rare Ebola strain is spreading in Africa, and the big concern right now is not just the scale and spread of this pandemic, but the fact that there's no vaccine. The World Health Organization reporting 500 suspected cases, 130 suspected deaths in this growing Ebola outbreak in Central Africa, and they say it is showing no signs of slowing. One American, a missionary, contracted the virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and that person will be sent to Germany for treatment. Ebola is transmitted through close person-to-person contact, also bodily fluids. The WHO has declared a public health emergency. Right now, the State Department is banning any travelers from entering the U.S. who have visited any of the impacted countries in the past 21 days. We'll keep tracking it.
I think it's going to be wild. You know, you've seen it on TV before. It's never happened here before, so other than Club World Cup last year. But it's going to be great to see the hoopla in our own backyard and be a part of it and hopefully feel that energy throughout the city.
Today we have major developments in this mysterious case. Yesterday we were told by family members that that little boy's body was found buried on the property of a relative. Today, the Aberdeen Police Department confirmed that fact. Two family members of Aiden Bevins reached out to King 5 heartbroken after learning the young boy had died under what they describe as suspicious circumstances.
It looks like he had so much to say. He was smiling and he was bright. You know, his eyes were so bright. I would have loved to just been able to cuddle that kid.
They say they called the Aberdeen Police Department and say investigators later found the boy's body. Tonight, we've confirmed investigators found the 4-year-old buried somewhere on this property where relatives of the little boy live. Other family members say no one called the police to alert them of Aiden's death.
No matter what the case was, even if he died naturally, why didn't you call somebody? What possible reason is there that's logical? Like, that's not even logical to just not report it.
Tuesday, while we covered the story, an Aberdeen police officer arrived at the home where investigators previously found the body. We saw one officer talk with a family member outside for about 10 minutes and then drive away. We're blurring his face because police have not identified him as a person of interest. Key to this case will be the autopsy results. The coroner's office confirms they're working to figure out how this boy died. No one is in custody or charged with his death. In Washington State, if there is a death, you are required to report it to local authorities. In Aberdeen, Sebastian Robertson, King 5 News.
If you, your home, or your job were affected by floods back in December, Washington wants you to know there's federal money available. Governor Bob Ferguson, FEMA, and King County leaders held a press conference in Renton urging flood victims to apply for disaster assistance before June 10th. Officials say nearly 4,000 homes were damaged during the December flooding, with about 440 destroyed or heavily damaged. Officials also announced disaster assistance centers are rotating through impacted communities, while outreach teams are heading out to flea markets, farmers markets to reach as many people as possible. People can apply online through the FEMA app, over the phone, or at disasterassistance.gov. Officials say if you already have insurance or don't know whether you qualify, you should still apply, again, by June 10th.
Take a look at this incredible video. Everything from bears to bear cubs to mountain lions. These are just some of the images captured from something like this. This is a trail camera. Anyone can get one. You put it up in the woods, your home, whatever. It's motion censored, so when something crosses in front of it, it starts recording. Now, there's a group of volunteers in Issaquah who are nature enthusiasts. They knew, okay, we've got some cool animals out here in the wild. So they've been setting up these trail cameras, and the visuals they've captured are amazing. Bears, bear cubs, deer, possum, everything in between. This has been going on for about a year now, and they're loving it. Their big message for people is, we know there's wildlife out here. Let's check out what's going on when people are not around. They want people to appreciate this wildlife, understand it, respect it, but the visuals are incredible as well.
Our mission is a little bit more, we call it edutainment. So kind of using that footage and the visibility it brings to raise awareness about recreating responsibly, coexisting with wildlife in our neighborhoods.
Washington state government needs an overhaul in transparency, and the state attorney general has some thoughts. Nick Brown has initiated a formal rulemaking process to improve the release of public records. Here in the King 5 Investigators Office, we rely on public documents and we're making records requests all the time. And we don't always get good results. In fact, the nonpartisan Washington Coalition for Open Government has documented how the Public Records Act in Washington has eroded over the years. It takes longer to get records, and lawmakers are creating more exemptions so agencies don't have to hand them over. The Attorney General proposes triaging requests, for example, responding to simple, straightforward requests quickly, while the more complex ones are put in a separate queue. Hopefully that would speed things up. This is a public issue and the public is invited to weigh in. You can send an email to agorulemaking@atg.wa.gov. Get your comments in before November 6th, when a hearing over this proposed rule takes place.
These new security fences are now wrapping around the stadium, and if you look through the fence there, you might notice that Lumen is starting to disappear from some of the signage out here. These sign changes are part of FIFA's rules, so during the tournament, sponsorship names are not allowed, so Lumen Field will temporarily become Seattle Stadium. The new fencing is just one part of this nearly $20 million transformation happening around the stadium. And even with all the construction, fans we talked to say the World Cup excitement is really starting to build.
I'm excited to see the changes, right? We're already seeing them come into play. Excited to see what else they do, here in Pioneer Square, down in SoDo.
A brand new natural grass pitch replacing the stadium's artificial turf has already been installed, and next, crews will begin putting up vehicle barriers around the stadium to help protect fans during World Cup matches. With less than a month of construction to go, officials say there are still a lot more changes to come, both inside and outside the stadium, before the World Cup arrives here in Seattle next month.
Could these chicks be the key to bringing back extinct birds such as the giant moa? These chickens were hatched using artificial eggs. That's according to the scientists at Colosso Biosciences. The Dallas-based biotech company says its 3D printed shell and silicone-based membrane can grow an embryo without supplemental oxygen. The company says it has hatched 26 chicks using this technology, ranging from 2 weeks to 4 months in age. The next step is now seeing if they develop normally. The company is known for working towards de-extinction of species like the resurrection of the dire wolf, using ancient DNA to alter the genes of a gray wolf. It is also working towards resurrecting the dodo, the woolly mammoth, and the Tasmanian tiger. According to the company, the artificial egg technology will help to recreate extinct bird species, particularly the giant moa, which was so large there's no suitable living surrogate. But some scientists are skeptical, and though Colosso claims the artificial egg is scalable, the company would still need to overcome significant challenges, such as decoding the moa's unique genetic makeup to achieve its long-term goal of bringing it back in some form. The artificial egg technology, however, could help conserve endangered birds.
Consumer Reports tested more than 100 sunscreens this year, from lotions to sprays, to see how well they actually protect your skin. To measure SPF, or sun protection factor, testers applied a small amount of sunscreen to small patches of skin, then exposed them to controlled UV light to see how long it takes for a sunburn to appear. For water-resistant formulas, some samples were soaked in water for up to 80 minutes before that UV exposure.
A lot of the sunscreens in our ratings did not meet their SPF claim on their label, but that doesn't mean that they still don't protect you against the sun's rays. Any sunscreen is better than no sunscreen.
Consumer Reports also tested for UVA protection. Those are the rays linked to aging as well as skin cancer, by shining UV light through sunscreen-coated plates to measure how much gets through. At the top of the ratings with a perfect overall score, Coppertone Water Babies Lotion SPF 50. Among sprays, Eucerin Advanced Hydration Spray SPF 50 came out on top. So which should you use, a lotion or a spray?
It's easier to see how much you're applying and to get better coverage with a lotion. Sprays can be good, they're certainly convenient, but they also carry some risks. You can inhale them, they often blow away in the wind. It's not easy to see how much you're applying to your skin.
If you do use a spray, don't just mist and go. Spray until the skin looks wet and then rub it in. If you're using a lotion, experts say you need about an ounce, roughly a shot glass, to cover your entire body and reapply every 2 hours. Mimi Jung, King 5 News.
The costs for all these preparations are adding up. Last week, the City Council approved an $18 million ordinance to help cover traffic management, emergency operations, and graffiti cleanup. That brings Seattle's total spending on FIFA World Cup prep to nearly $32 million.
Yep, I got it.
That's the moment a cop catches a baby dropped from a burning home. Watch again in slow-mo as the Kalamazoo, Michigan officer safely secures the infant in his hands. This went down May 15th as crews responded to a house fire with a mom and her baby trapped inside, arriving to find flames engulfing the second floor and frantic folks outside.
Where you at? Where's the baby?
By midnight!
Where they at?
Officers found the pair at a second-story window and went into action.
Hey, show me your kid. Kick out the screen.
Seconds later, mom drops her baby into the steady hands of a public safety officer who helps get the infant away from danger.
Can I get someone on the B side? I got the baby.
After getting the little one away from the fire, they returned with a ladder to help mom get out of the house as well. Both mom and her child escaped the scary incident without injury.
Right here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
We think these guys have pocketed over $2 million this year alone, and these scams just tracking the money. They try to string this out as long as they can to put as much pressure to keep drawing more money out of these people. Just really want to encourage people to do their homework. You know, if you're approached like this unsolicited, that should be your first red flag. If they're putting a lot of pressure on you, that's another red flag. If they're asking for a bunch of money up front, like, normal contractors won't do that. And even the follow-up contractor they had encouraged them to get other quotes. These guys aren't going to do that.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women. But it's not only women that are missing. There are men, young boys, young girls.
Say that boy's name! Say that boy's name! How's Charles? Aaliyah Wells!
Say her name, Kaylee Mae Nelson Jerry. We're not gonna give up. She's family. I'm hoping that by someone seeing this, that they will see Kaylee and, bring closure for us, bring her home.
We always have to prepare for more nefarious outcomes.
Hey, have you heard or maybe even noticed that dating is getting awfully expensive these days? Well, don't just take my word for it. Take his. Well, summer dating season is heating up. So are the costs. A new survey found nearly half of singles say dating just isn't financially worth it. According to BMO Bank, singles now spend an average of $189 a night for a date, more than $20 higher than last year. Dating coaches, which are a thing apparently, say many people are skipping traditional dinner dates and turning to low-cost options like coffee, drinks, or group singles events instead. More and more people are also moving away from dating apps, choosing to meet people face-to-face.
Well, good luck to all of you. Might be looking. Okay, what a nice Tuesday night as we look over Bellingham Bay. The sunshine, the warmer temperatures are really making a comeback.
It's the cheapest date there is. Enjoy the sunset.
Go on the waterfront.
Right? It's
perfect.
A good idea, too.
Free.
So it looks like Starbucks is laying off more people. This time, 300 employees are out of work. These are corporate positions like marketing, HR, and supply chain management, not coffee house jobs. 4 regional offices in Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, and Burbank will also close. This comes after the company just announced Starbucks will have a hub in Nashville with 2,000 jobs. Last year, the company laid off 2,000 corporate employees and closed hundreds of underperforming stores. Good morning, I'm Christian Balderas at Harborview Medical Center, where a 19-year-old man is recovering from gunshot wounds after an officer-involved shooting in Bothell. It happened yesterday just after midnight. Investigators say it all started when a Bothell police officer spotted a car making an illegal U-turn. The officer followed that car to a 7-Eleven parking lot, but then suddenly the driver got out of the car and bolted, leaving behind a bunch of people in the vehicle. A passenger jumped into the driver's seat, but then things escalated. Investigators say that someone in that car pointed a gun at the officer. The officer then fired multiple rounds at the vehicle. The vehicle took off and hit the police car in the process, and about an hour later, a 19-year-old man showed up at a Burien hospital and had to be transferred here to Harborview Medical Center. At this point, we know that the man is in stable condition, and there are 2 to 3 suspects that are still out there. At this point, investigators have not given any descriptions of those suspects.
These are pictures taken by neighbors who live close to the park of what appear to be a pair of bald eagles near a development site for new townhomes. The South End Neighborhood Council says they repeatedly contacted city, county, and state agencies asking for the area to be reviewed before any construction moved forward. But Monday, they say crews removed trees near the site. Neighbors also report a helicopter hovered overhead, forcing the adult eagles to fly away. Under federal law, disturbing a bald eagle nest during breeding season is illegal. Now the neighborhood group is calling for an investigation and wants construction paused.
Personally, I witnessed the eagles fly over my home after they had been flushed out of this property, and they were together. We also received reports from other neighbors that saw the same exact eagles.
The contractor tells King 5 they're following the rules.
We've done everything we can to make sure that we've complied with the law and that there's nothing that we're going to impact negatively as it relates to any protected species within the site.